Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, it is the afternoon. It is not the evening for Tower Casuals. I don't know if this makes it up Friday night or not, Thursday night or not. It might. I have an NBA game to watch after this. But Corey is on vacation. He is spending time with his wonderful family down in hopefully sunny Florida.
How dare he?
Going to Disney World, visiting one of our favorite mouses, and eating all the sandwiches he can muster. But fear not. That sultry voice that you hear. There's only one person we could bring in for a show like this. Our Tower Gunsmith, the king of the Iron Lords.
Ooh.
The defender of Baldur's Gate. A1 Johnny.
Sometimes the Scourge of Baldur's Gate, but that's a different
Sometimes
topic.
the Scourge of Baldur's Gate. I'm choosing to go with the defender because you've done your honor mode playthrough, so...
Yes, and that ended in the worst way possible.
Never mind then. We're not going to reference that. I thought this had a noble ending.
I got the W. That's what happened. But lore-wise, worst possible ending out of all of the dozens of endings.
That's fair, unfortunately. Oh man, John, how's it been? We have not. We've both kind of been off in our own little world. Neither one of us has played all. This is a recurring theme, in case you haven't noticed, between John, Joe, myself, and Corey. We really haven't played a ton of Destiny this season. This is the furthest into a season I've ever gotten without finishing my season pass.
Yeah, I at least have that done, but I legitimately have not played in earnest in 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
I probably haven't played in earnest since... probably since Witch. Just in case you guys forgot, last year ended with such a barrage of incredible and incredibly long games. That's kind of where all the attention went. The holidays came up. Of course, my holidays were just kind of terrible. And, now, right as I'm starting to get the Destiny itch a little bit again, all of a sudden, wishes suck. The end of the seasonal story is such a fucking drag. And I'd rather help depressed Japanese teenagers who summon their personas by shooting themselves in the head. Let's not mince words here. Let's just go ahead and get it out there.
Yeah, I had already kind of planned on taking a break. There's something about knowing that you have until June to, wrap up whatever you want to do. I still want a Guild Conqueror. I still want to get my... Yeah. I think I'm halfway through the last triumph to get Iron Lord again this season, which I've gotten every season since it came out, because I'm weird like that. But I was just like, you know what? I have until goddamn June. I am just gonna no life Baldur's Gate and just forget about my Destiny chores for a little bit, and here we are in February.
Here
we
are
starting to gear back up.
Almost mid-February, man. Yeah, I probably won't. I probably won't come back in earnest with wishes just being so bad.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not doing those. I'm not doing those.
No, we're gonna get to those in a minute. I griped about them last week. We're gonna gripe about them again this week. I plan on not really coming back in earnest probably until like the end of March, beginning of April. Kind of ramp up. I am still really intrigued by Into the Light, and I know the minute that the Vidoc comes out, I'm gonna be all the way back in. They emailed me the other day to say my collector's edition is still scheduled for the 1st of March. So maybe we'll do an unboxing. I don't know. I definitely will read out of the lore, but I'll definitely read out of the lore books though, because if they're letting us have it this early, they're clearly okay with the lore being out there. And it's usually supplementary or like stuff that's going into it. We know it's from Ido this time. I'm still excited for that. My excitement over Destiny hasn't gone away. It's wavered, but like I still want to see how the story ends. I'm clearly still buying fucking merch. My Deck of Whispers came in, and it's actually really dope.
I'm definitely gonna be spending an absurd amount of money on the 13th. When we get those, that's when we get the Mass Effect armor, right?
Yeah. So before we get into the ugly. Let's talk about some good, because you're the first person. As soon as I saw that, I did not post it in our Discord. I just took the image, sent it to you, and went, God damn it.
It's like they made it for me, Josh. It's the one crossover I wanted and the one I didn't think we'd ever get.
It's the one that you and I have been adamant that this would never happen. And lo and behold, here we are. It's the one that makes the most sense, but we just didn't think it would happen. And, well, it's not Assassin's Creed, it's not Fortnite, and it's not the PlayStation All-Stars. This one
and it's just straight
sense.
up it's just straight up Mass Effect armor too. It's not like
yeah,
Destiny armor with little nods to the Mass Effect universe. No, that is
so,
straight up Shepard's armor. That is,
the Shepard's armor is unquestionably the best, right? This brings up another point, and this is a point that I made with the Geralt armor, where I was very happy about the Geralt armor because everyone got the Geralt armor.
Yeah,
it was just tailored to your class. Because I was so upset over the PlayStation armor that the fucking assassin class didn't get Ghost of Tsushima themed stuff. I was so upset that we didn't get the assassin robes from Assassin's Creed. This is ridiculous. And, here we go. Third time was the charm with the Geralt armor. I am still slightly annoyed that not everybody got N7 armor, because I do think that's a missed opportunity. You could have easily given the Warlocks the new trench coat that we saw in the teaser for 4.
That's straight. The new teaser armor is just straight up like that. Just looks like a Warlock with N7.
My thing is, you could have done that, and you could have easily given the Warlocks like Shepard's leather jacket.
I almost wonder if, and again, with how much work goes into actually making armor ornaments and stuff, right. I don't know if this would be way too outside of the box, but especially hearing you and Corey talk about like what you'd want to see for Star Wars, and I almost wonder if for these kind of things, it might not be an opportunity for them to double dip and make 2 sets of armor. A set of N7 armor for everyone, and then Garrus, Rex, and Liara as well.
I would have been okay with that, because I think when you keep the spirit of the original team alive, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So, don't get me wrong. I like the Garrus armor, and I like the Liara armor. The Liara armor, it has been pointed out, is pretty much a cut and paste of a set that already exists, but, it's kind of hard not to do that for Liara-themed armor. Sorry?
That just straight up looks exactly like her armor. Also, the quote-unquote copy-paste doesn't include the metal sculpted boobies. Not a lot of booby armor.
Not a lot of booby armor in game, indeed. I like the Garrus armor. I really like the face mask, frankly.
Yeah.
The Garrus face mask is pretty cool. The cloak is the thing that doesn't fit with me, and it was making me so mad seeing people be like, Garrus would 100% be a Titan. And I was like, yes, listen, Garrus, I fully buy that Garrus would be a hunter, but do we not remember the arc in Mass Effect 2 where you find out that he's, spoilers for Mass Effect 2, if you haven't played it in 13 years, that's on you at this point. When he shows up and you go to recruit this guy named Archangel, and it's Garrus with a fucking, power sniper.
He was just fighting off,
my dude is a fucking, he may look like a Titan, but he's a fucking hunter at heart.
Yeah, that's just because he's Turian. They're just kind of bigger.
And sorry, when you look at this, who else would you have as a hunter from Mass Effect? Thane? How are you going to do cool Thane armor? I'm sorry.
No, he's 100%.
Thane has a bitchin' trench coat if you want to give me that. But, other than that, who else are you going to give me Miranda armor? I don't want Miranda's pantsuit. I want Garrus! There was no way they were doing this, and it wasn't going to be either all N7 or it was going to be the Core 3.
Yeah.
I do maintain with you, especially with us getting... Now, I love that we're getting the Edie Ghost, the Normandy, and the Mako Sparrow. I love that we're getting those. They fucked up
because I'm never using another ship again. I'm never not going to use the Normandy.
I was very surprised that this was free, because we all know how EA loves to siphon money from people, and we know how Bungie likes to do it too. The fact that BioWare came out and made a statement and said, when we agreed to do this, it was important to us and to Bungie. The players got something for free. That reads as BioWare basically saying we were never going to do this unless it was free. Something was going to be given away.
BioWare has been on, we need to figure out how to get our goodwill and trust back, after.
Yeah, they're both going to they're both in the group sessions together right now. Some of the executives from Xbox are probably joining them too in the coming days. Jim Ryan is hosting the support group. It's just, it's real chaotic over there right now. I love that everybody's going to use the Normandy forever. It's instantly one of the coolest ships in the game. Instantly. And the Mako Sparrow is kind of funny. You can see, the little wheels spinning.
That was my only complaint. Is I wish it looked exactly like the Mako, but in the frame of a mini sparrow. So it looked like a little six-wheeled Mako as a mini sparrow.
That would have been great. Can we talk about the Omniblade finisher for a second?
Oh, brother! Like I said, I'm buying the whole thing.
Yeah, we're logging on Tuesday. We're spending a disgusting amount on this armor.
And I can never use anything other than exotic legs, because you take anything away from the Shepherd armor and it messes up the whole look. So I'm just exotic pants Johnny.
Part of the reason that I'm so tilted is because Titans now get the awesome Omniblade on their wrists. And that is such a fucking missed opportunity for the rest of us. I'm just saying.
You can use finisher, or you could play a good class. You have choices.
Shut the fuck up. I do like this. I was forced to concede that I actually like of anything that they've done for collabs, this is like the one that I actually like, and it actually makes sense. Like the PlayStation shit was kind of forced on them. We did find out this has apparently been in the works for like well over a year.
Yeah, I saw that with Liana.
Liana knew about it. She said she already had like the TWAB written for it long ago with all her jokes.
That's such a bummer. Every single TWAB she wrote, she snuck in a Mass Effect joke, if not even just signing off.
It was her sign off was always "I should go." But seriously, like I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite armor on the tower. Like, come on, man, it's there. Yeah. We're gonna walk into the hangar and see the Normandy, John.
That emote better be Shepard's goofy ass white girl dance.
Oh my god. No, I need that, but like I need it to I need the hunter when the hunter dances with it to have the Garrus dance. Which is like almost low-key better. If you watch Garrus in the background, it's so 2010s animation, but it's so good.
I know, obviously, I would always want more, but damn, I would kill for the just the generic M8 assault rifle that Shepard always has on the cover in the game.
I would love to see that.
It'd be too much. It'd be too much, but
I'd like to see it as an exotic ornament.
Yeah,
but then the problem
give me an ornament for Suros, or something. Just a generic.
Yeah, that was going to be my only thing. Is like then it's tied to a certain gun, then though, and that I can understand how that would be pretty frustrating and like hard to tell like who's using what, if it could be used for multiple guns and blah blah blah. It's not like like if they ever did this in Fortnite, the N7 rifles 100% going in there. Like the Omniblade is going to be something you could pick up. Like
I guess that was my biggest surprise, is that we got Mass Effect tie-ins before Fortnite. That's crazy.
EA has been pretty stingy about getting on board with Fortnite. Isaac from Dead Space is the only thing that they've licensed out, I believe.
They haven't because they're a competitor.
They haven't even taken the free money that would be getting Cal Kestis in there with a BD1 backblink.
Yep.
That is money waiting to be happened. I have now lost bets 2 May the 4ths in a row, thinking that he was going to be in the shop. I can't make the bet again this year, which means it's going to happen. I can't lose money to our friend Ray Apollo again. I just can't do it. I'm getting tired of buying the man pizza.
One last thing I want to comment on, and then we should probably not make this a whole Mass Effect armor block, but we could. The Ghost, the EDI Ghost. I hope it just has a quick EDI voice line or noise, even like the clicker Ghost makes a clicker sound every time you pull it out. So
that would be really
cool. Would it be EDI saying Commander Shepard or something when you pull your Ghost out?
That might be too far for what BioWare would be willing to let happen, but we can dream though. We can dream. Can we get Commander Anderson in the tower, please? Keith David is part of the franchise now, so
That's true.
I would love for there to be like an interaction if you walk up to his Zavala in the armor, but I don't think they're ever replacing Lance Reddick's lines in the tower, though. Frankly, you can't, and thankfully he doesn't talk about like current events. So, anyways, we are going to go ahead and get into the meat of the show. John and I wanted to talk a little bit. I've now finished the seasonal storyline. So has John. And so just like it's the first time I can remember in recent memory where I had to watch the cutscene on YouTube because I just like was so far behind. It is such a fucking grind to get to the end of this season.
Yeah.
So like I guess we're far enough into the season. The season's essentially over at this point. Let's talk about like some of the good, some of the bad, some of the ugly. The good, obviously, the Coil. It's the best seasonal activity we've ever gotten.
Yep, the coil is awesome. It's rewarding, and at the same time, it's not something I feel like I need to do it a million times.
Nope.
But every time I hop in with two friends and say, "Hey, let's go run a coil," it's fun, it's engaging, and it's rewarding, and then I can move on.
It
As
definitely
opposed,
loses the appeal once you've gotten most of the patterns. It loses its appeal.
yeah, and I guess that's why I like it because I have not been grinding this season
Same,
like I
same.
normally would. I still need things, so it's nice to be able to just go do that half an hour, 40 minutes. It's I like putting my builds to the test.
Oh, absolutely.
It's pretty difficult, especially compared to any other seasonal activity, right? Like the only thing that compares was like the hard modes that are just hard for no reason, and they add a
Hmm.
million champions, and this is genuinely difficult and fun to tackle with the proper team. Yeah, Coil was a surprise.
Yeah, I really enjoy the coil. Of course, we both really like the dungeon.
Yeah, dungeon was
We
awesome.
I hesitate to call that seasonal content because it's extra, but we're counting it. And I enjoyed the exotic mission. I don't know if I wouldn't put it on like the top three or anything. I think it still is nowhere's near what we've gotten with like the Operation Avalon, with Zero Hour, with Whisper.
Yeah, the gameplay of it was so, but I don't
It's
know, the
fine.
environment is pretty. I mean, I'm never going to be mad about going back to the Black
No,
Garden.
no,
I
no, no,
like,
no. The
I
environment is cool. I like going back there. I like that, it, and it has relevance to the seasonal story, which is the most important part for me.
Yep, it ties in. I really liked the whole shooting the constellations thing. I thought that was a pretty unique, nice little, just a little touch, just something different.
Yeah,
That
I definitely think it's different.
that was
I
cool.
enjoy it. The tease at the end very clearly is setting up echoes,
Yeah,
and teasing the story of, if you've been following for years now, the story of Maya Sundarish, but from the lore, but if you've especially been following the Veil containment storyline, that's a very nice like little, not bow to it, but connective tissue to, we're
yeah,
probably going to interact with her and Asher in Echoes, which is really cool. Um, I like that kind of connective tissue. It's there to try and get like those of us who are lore fiends to like still be bought in, I guess. And I've gone over it before. Like, I've already bought what's coming next. I have the whole pass for the next year. Um, but there's some ugly here too. Like, as much as we can praise all the, there's some bad. Let's say bad. I don't know if there's any ugly. We should call it the underwhelming, I guess.
yeah.
The storyline. I don't think that it's bad, and I want to be clear. It's not bad. It's confusing as to why this needed to happen, and this the events of Defiance and the events of Deep all just kind of ring out. Why did we have to do this before the final shape? And the answer obviously is like, they needed the development time. They
Yeah,
needed development time for it.
it's completely killed the momentum, unfortunately, for me. Of
Which is
from
unfortunate, because
yeah
I think Witch, for me, got the momentum back.
yeah, no, I was excited. There was cool things happening,
Deck of
but
Whispers, baby. Deck of Whispers.
they just it's just spread so thin, and
Yeah.
even if Final Shape hadn't been delayed, there's just been nothing this year overall that makes me feel like we're building up to the finale. Even though I loved a lot of things about it, even though Season of the Wish was a banger, it just and this season, honestly, objectively is a banger. I just have some problems with the tired old seasonal structure that we've been complaining about forever. It's just growing really thin now. But I just wanted more, like, even what was the first season that came with Lightfall? Was that Defiance?
Defiance.
Just little thing, like, I can complain a lot about that season, but it felt like the world was changing and moving forward when you landed at the farm and there were awoken ships everywhere in the skybox. And I was hoping this year those kinds of things would start ramping up. That it kicked off with the Traveler leaving. Like that, I can't state to you after 9 years how weird it is still when I think about it, and I land at the tower and the damn Traveler isn't there. So I was hoping this year those kinds of things would start culminating and the world itself would start changing as we gear up to this big finale. And it's just been nothing. Like, Eris got some resolution last season and did a cool thing, and that's about it. We got some background on the witness from a space whale.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What I keep coming back to with what's happened this year is just so much of what we've seen should have been part of Lightfall, or frankly, should have been part of the fallout from the Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Like, Season of the Witch is really cool. I wish we would have gotten this like a year ago, though. Defiance is a cool idea and concept, but realistically should have been part of the I think should have been part of the expansion story. It should have been going in tandem with you're having to struggle to decide, okay, how hard are we chasing to protect the Veil, but oh shit, Earth is being subjugated by the Witness directly, and our number one weapon, the Guardian, has left. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, what on earth are we doing here? And I think that could have all been like kind of wrapped up together. Deep is fine. It was a cool little mechanic to be under the water. Ghost of the Deep is a cool dungeon. But that Witness cutscene, there is zero excuse for that not being in Lightfall.
Other than they had to spread this connective tissue over a year.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. That should have been in Lightfall. I know I'm beating a dead horse about it. It's been talked about to death. Bife and Dado can talk about it better than I can and more articulately, but it's disgusting that that's not a part of the main campaign. The fact that is the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of us screaming about needing cutscenes viewable in-game again is pretty funny, that they waited until literally the most important cutscene in the history of the franchise. And then we're like, oh shit, it's tied to a seasonal event. We should probably keep this in the game. It's really sad to see that. Again, we really liked Witch. You get here and it's like, really, we're choosing now to deal with the Dreaming City, and then you find out in the first week, oh, the curse can never be broken, and that's because of content, right? Like, because the content happening until D2 is sunset, that can never happen, right? Because then you can just be like, oh yeah, you did it, but for the game's sake, we're going to leave it in here. But it is broken for future titles, which I wouldn't be shocked if that happened eventually, but at this point, I think it's just going to stay like, okay, fine, Mara's acknowledged it. And I think it speaks to like the cost that these characters have had to pay. It's just, you wish you had gotten a little bit more of that and not like, oh, we're circling back to this finally after 4 years. It's like, I would have been way more interested. God, you and I had speculation back during the Shadowkeep Vidoc when we saw the notes on Luke Smith's whiteboard saying, fix the past, or fix the time loop is what it was, or something. Fix the past and the time loop. And we were like, oh my god, we're going to save Gate 6. We're going to erase the events of Forsaken. Oh my god, it's happening. It's happening. We're going to fix the Dreaming City. One eternity later. We are no closer, buddy. We are still beating the shit out of Savathun's kid every third week, canonically. So
it's just a strange way to lead into.
It's a very strange way. I will say, for all the faults this season, though, I do enjoy that Osiris is the one who is finally cracking everything. Seeing Osiris whip out Strand on Mara was something I did not expect to see. Osiris knows Mara could just like snap her fingers and kill him too. She's canonically that powerful. Oh yeah. And but to see that Osiris has finally mastered Strand was great to see.
And to see him just do warlock stuff,
Yeah, seeing him do cool warlock shit. Like, kudos to Osiris. Like, 3 years now, he's been pretty instrumental in all the seasons. Granted, one of those he wasn't Osiris, but he's been pretty instrumental, I would say, since Season of Dawn. To our understanding of the events going on, which was always Osiris's intended role for Destiny 1, was to be this character. Him and Crow were intended to be these characters that helped guide the player character. I mean, it's been talked about before in the stat and cut. Elsie, when she's talking on the radio, was supposed to be talking to Osiris. And I would love for that in a roundabout way to come true in the final shape.
100%. You're gonna hear that damn voice line.
I feel like you're going to hear that voice line, but at this point, I feel like it'll be her talking to us instead, which I think would be really special. There's a lot of special timey-wimey things you can do here, but like that's the magic of what I think Destiny has the potential to be. It's not what I think will actually happen, unfortunately. For all the faults of this season, though, the interactions between Mara and Crow are so good.
Yeah,
they finally nailed it.
That's all paying off in a great way. I think the idea of Crow being the one to go through the portal because of his weird connection with Mara is cool.
It's the ultimate redemption, and it finally made the Awoken finally means something to the greater story. They mean a lot in the lore, but they've like, what have they really done in the actual storyline of these games? Pretty much since the Taken King, like fuck all.
Yeah. Outside of they were there from the beginning. You know, that was the base vanilla campaign. What did we do? We met the Hive on the moon and went right to see the Awoken, right to see Mara and Crow. You know, so to tie that back around all these years later, after everything those two have been through, is cool. You know, I think narratively, I'm fine with what has actually happened in the story this season. I just feel like as we're running into our end game, I was expecting at least the last 2 seasons of this year to be more build up, you know, more urgency. I don't know how to even phrase it. It just doesn't feel like we're going into our end game right now, you know.
I agree. It feels like there should be like one more season after this, frankly, which is absurd to say when we've had 4 seasons this year, but this is the first year where I really feel like the story didn't move forward. Like, at least last year, coming out of the Witch Queen, you had Risen, which worked so wonderfully in tandem with the events of the Witch Queen. 4-week season, it was, the whole reason we do it is as the consequences of what happens in there. And to be fair, they did attempt that with Defiance again. You had Haunted.
Let's not talk about Amanda. That was so fucking stupid.
You have Haunted, which I think was wonderful and was a great cap off to the events that we started dealing with in... really back in Chosen. That was a great kind of full circle arc for Keitel. Plunder was weird. Plunder's very weird. It set up a raid that, like, I don't think anybody would have questioned if we didn't have the artifacts of Nezarec before then. And clearly it's setting up something post-final shape with Mithrax, which not a huge fan of, by the way. Really think Mithrax should have been a Guardian by now, but that's just me personally. Maybe it'll happen. That would be such a huge moment. Maybe that's being saved for a campaign. I don't think that can be a seasonal event. That probably needs to be something pretty prominent. Again, we talk about redemption narratives all the time in Destiny. Like, Keitel's had hers. It's time for Mithrax to get his. And then you had Seraph, which was really cool because we needed to get back and close off the story with Rasputin for so long. And it was clear Rasputin had to be off the table before we faced the Witness. He just had to be. And for that to be handled as well as it did was kind of a miracle when we look back on it. That was the perfect lead-in to Lightfall. They set it up so wonderfully.
So we went in with so much hype.
That final mission sits rent-free in my head. The scene of everybody watching the Traveler take to the skies or to the upper atmosphere into space, whatever you want to call it, recreating the original teaser art. And everybody's like, oh my god, the Traveler is fleeing. And they're like, no, it's protecting. And it just neutralizes everything that happens. Was so incredible. It was so incredible. It was such a great moment. We were like, oh my god, Lightfall's going to be so good. And now it's like, man, there's still one radio transmission left. And there's one secret triumph left in the story section on triumphs. Really hoping that final mission is a banger, but I really feel it's going to be, Crow's made contact with us! Let's plant the beacons, guys! I really feel like that's what's going to happen. Plant the beacon in on the helm or something stupid like that. I am fully expecting to be completely let down by whatever happens. I'm going in with 0 expectations now to whatever this end of season event is after 6 months of Crow doing whatever he's doing over there. It does make sense from a lore perspective why Crow is the one to do it. Like you said, the connection with him and Mara. And that cutscene of him diving through the portal is genuinely emotional.
Yeah, it's a
Brendan O'Neill's just so goddamn good at what he does. We talk about the big names, but God, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, no, the Crow's whole story, the last couple years is
it's the highlight.
Really good. Yeah,
it's the highlight. I think about all the stories that we've been told, and I really think since Crow came into the picture and Hunt, so many of the seasonal stories, people start complaining about it, like, oh, there's too much focus on Crow, there's too much on Crow. It's been so great to watch him grow, though, and to see him come to terms with who he was as Ultron, and to be the first one to understand that that's not who he is anymore. And that the interaction that he has with the Guardian, if you skip through any of the wall of text they give you when the NPCs are talking, I implore you not to, because when he talks to the Guardian and he's like, it has to be me that does this. Like, because the whole plan was totally to send the Guardian through. Like, we all know that. But as a game, that doesn't work. That would work if there was like a 1 week gap or something. Like, oh, we're going to take the servers down for 48 hours because the Guardian jumped through the portal or something. Like, then it would make sense. But for it to be Crow is the ultimate roundabout redemption for Uldren as a character. Really gives him probably the best arc of any of the NPCs in the game.
Yeah.
If you go all the way back to it.
I think everything they've kind of focused on since Beyond Light, bringing in Keitel, bringing the Fallen back around, the depth and development we've got on Zavala, Osiris and Saint. It's no secret to you, but if you don't know me personally, Saint and Osiris, their whole story is one of my favorite in all of Destiny.
100%.
And that has been so good from Beyond Light to now. I guess even stretching all the way back to season of the Saint 14 came back. I'm blanking on the name of it. Dawn, yeah. Since Dawn, and it's these characters have depth and wants and needs and emotions and problems, as opposed to just being stoic badasses that stand on the tower and don't do anything. I don't know. It's been my favorite part of the storytelling of Destiny, beyond all of the macro existential space drama going on. It's the stories around these characters that is makes me want to log in week after week to do my chores and see the next part of it.
We complain all the time about the things that they don't do right, but we do have to appreciate the things that they do right. We said for years we wanted to see more about these characters, and the fact that they've chosen to focus on a handful of characters has been the smartest, best, healthiest thing for this game. It's allowed...
And that our Guardian has not been the main character for everything.
I haven't had to listen to Nolan North narrate seasons for like 2 years now, and it's been magnificent. Nothing against Nolan North, but I don't need Ghost explaining this to me. Get those fucking voice actors in their closets recording voice lines. Do the Lance Reddick. Like,
I do miss hearing our Ghost as often, but your point is very valid. And that's kind of what I meant by we are not just the one main character anymore. The past couple years, they've really been actually telling stories, not just pointing us at bad guys to kill and then explaining everything in cutscenes or lore books.
Yeah, I get the complaint from some folks that, they didn't do enough. They haven't done anything with Elsie. They haven't done anything with Finch. They haven't done anything with Nimbus. These characters are going to live on, well, maybe not Elsie, like post-final shape. These characters are going to continue to live on. They're going to have prominence in the story. Like, they're using characters as they make sense. Like, there's a campaign on Earth. Let's use Devrim. Like, that makes sense to use Devrim there. And we can give some depth to him and, like, flesh him out through the lore. Which, like, when's the last time, other than Devrim's fucking tea parties that he has, like, once a year in the lore, when have we talked to him last? The vanilla campaign? Like, nobody's popping in to talk to Devrim except to get bounties if we need them for some seasonal challenge, and that's about it. Like, occasionally we'll see him shoot an NPC that we're trying to get to out there, and that's about it. Like, that's always been the complaint, and, like, in terms of the vendors, like, yeah, that happens, but, like, to focus on Pro, to focus on Osiris, and by extension, Saint, and to allow characters like Keitel and Mithrax and Zavala and Ikora to come and fill in like those and Eris to fill in those supplementary roles, these characters that we're so familiar with, but to build really on the backs of like these I would even consider Keitel kind of like one of those core NPCs we focus on now. It allows for such richer storytelling. And that's why, like, as much as I don't like this season, I think getting the story of Riven and Tyrannus was really special, but I wonder why we had to wait 4 years for that story. Like, that adds a whole new level to our understanding of the events of Forsaken and Last Wish, even to the fall of Uldren. That gives us such a new, renowned understanding of what happened in those, like Savathun and Oryx are still fucking with us from beyond the grave, essentially. Like, the things that they did in the Taken King are still affecting us now. And I don't want to like sit here and make excuses for the storytelling, because I do think, like, outside of the Crow and Mar thing, I think the Tyrannus cutscene was also one of the most beautiful things that they've done.
Yeah.
This is a really, like, weird season. It's a weird narrative season that I feel like almost would have worked better if it was part of like, I don't know, like a Warmind sized expansion. Like if you could have put this and Witch together, maybe, or like this and like the story of the Leviathan together. I don't
Do you
know.
think all of this, the final chapter of this game, this saga we've been going through for the last decade of our lives, do you think that it would have been better served for them to have just delayed the expansion completely instead of splitting up Lightfall and Final Shape? If we had a run of 8 seasons or whatever, we still get a raid maybe. I don't know if they could have done Root of Nightmares specifically, but if they gave us a raid and some strikes and they kept up, new dungeons, all that, but the actual expansion, if they just said, you know what, this needs to be perfect, we're going to move it. Here's a big content update. The seasons are going to still keep going. The story's still going to keep going. I just can't help but feel that the way that Lightfall failed to deliver on so many things, I feel like that deflated the community so much, and so much of the hype.
I'm gonna counter you with another. I'm gonna counter your question with another question.
All right.
What if we don't get rid of Lightfall completely? Because it's clear that they needed a device to introduce the Veil, and I think trying to introduce the Veil in like what was known as Lightfall / the Final Shape, trying to introduce the Veil, get us to understand that, get us to understand the past of the Witness, and defeat him all in the same expansion is a lot. There's a lot of exposition. What if they would have come out and said, and tell me how you would have felt about this, if they would have shifted to this new model with episodes a year earlier, and we would have gotten a smaller Lightfall, and they could have been like, hey, we had just too much story, but we have things we need to do to set up the final act. We're giving you a smaller expansion at a cheaper price, Rise of Iron style. We're going to give you the expansion for $25-$30 because it's not going to be the size of like Warmind, but it's not going to be Witch Queen sized either. It's going to be more Shadowkeep or Rise of Iron sized. We're going to give you this. That allows you to still get the Root of Nightmares raid out. That still allows you to show the Travelacy. That still allows you to get Nimbus in, get Osiris's Expedition. We're giving you a new element strand. We're only going to do 2 major content drops. We're going to do one 6 weeks after the 6 to 12 weeks after the expansion comes out. We're going to do another one at the beginning of September for you to line up with the 9th anniversary of the live game. Leave yourself enough wiggle room at that point, because then, you've gotten the Star-Crossed mission out there. What if you need to delay the Final Shape like you just did? Hey, we're going to move Echoes up. And if you already bought the season pass, we're going to give it to you at a discount. If you haven't, it's going to be this. It's going to be the $15.99 or the $14.99, whatever it is, whatever the price would have been. You're going to pay that instead. We're going to do that. We're going to refresh loot pools. We're going to remove restrictions on you. Blah 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 blah. And we're going to put this out in February or like in January or something to carry you through to the Final Shape. That would have been received so much better. And we said this. We said it on this very show the day that we reviewed the Witch Queen. Every single expansion needs this level of care. It needs a year and a half production cycle no matter what, because that's when they get the best content out. Forsaken had a huge cycle behind. They worked on Forsaken in tandem with Destiny 2. They gave it to completely different people. The Taken King was cut content from D1. That was the base of it. King's Fall was finished before Crota was. And then the Witch Queen got a full year and a half dev cycle. It came out a year and a half after Beyond Light. And look at how good it was. Look at how good those seasons were between Beyond Light and the Witch Queen. And even most of the year of Witch Queen, look how good those seasons were.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had those resources all the time.
And I can't help but feel like that Bungie set themselves up to disappoint. They hyped Lightfall up so much. I mean, I feel like if they would have pumped I know they have to. I know that's their job, but I feel like they could have framed it in a way where we were expecting it just to be a setup act, not the way that they marketed Lightfall made it out to be much more than obviously what was going to be just the first act of the planned expansion. I don't know. It just.
And I want to be really clear. I still think, because we've had some questions about this. The last couple of months, we've had a lot of questions about this. And Joe even asked about this, so we're kind of roundabout addressing part of Joe's question.
Oh, fuck that guy.
We fucking hate that guy on Tower Casuals. I still think that the Final Shape is going to be good. Bungie has shown when they get enough time, they cook. Halo 3 is still, and I mean, I know it's not the same writers, but Halo 3 is one of the best endings to a trilogy of all time. Game or movie, it is one of the best third acts of all time. It is one of the most emotional third acts of all time. I really think you can still pull that off here. They are still doing things that have never been done in a live service game, short of an MMO like World of Warcraft. Totally different story. I do think that Destiny's glory days are behind it. I would love to see it go out for most of us who are going to have a hard time engaging past whatever this expansion is, because like we've already seen, like we're kind of detached during the seasons. You asked me a question earlier this week, like, man, has the story always been like just fetch quests and grinding, like, or have we just been numb to it because we've really enjoyed the ride? And I do think that's part of it. I think we've hand waved it because we love we've loved the loot, we've loved the gameplay loop with our friends so much, but man, the last 6 months we've gotten Baldur's Gate 3, we've gotten Starfield, we've gotten Persona 3 Reload, we've gotten Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, we're about to get another Final Fantasy, we had Final Fantasy 16 last summer, we had Tears of the Kingdom last year, we had Alan Wake 2 come out. Like, the standard is being raised so much across this industry, and like Bungie's going to have to evolve to get with that, but also like there's the looming shadow of Marathon in the background. There's all the layoffs that happen, and the fact that we know the culture at Bungie is not great. Joe Blackburn is now leaving, and that does not. I'm not hitting the panic button, but man, I'm kind of like
it's
prepared
hard
to slam it.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on the Joe Blackburn thing, because who knows? Maybe he was planning on leaving when he signed up to be the game director.
That's what we speculated last week on the show.
So it's impossible to know. But
I want to be really clear: like, none of my fear is founded in Tyson taking over as the game director.
Yeah, he's obviously got the stuff. Just
he's a fucking legend there. This is the dude who came up with Forge. Okay, with Forge and Firefight, we're not going to disparage this man on this show ever.
He's definitely earned his stripes. Let's just hope he's not one of the toxic old guard, but that's a whole different thing. But
the thing I have seen is that no employee, past or present, has had anything bad to say about this guy.
Yeah.
So
same with Joe Blackburn. And everybody, even all the people that got laid off, had nothing but good things to say about Joe Blackburn. And that's
Joe fought for us. I think it was Liana was like, he fought every day for this community because he was a
player. That about your boss. To say that about your boss from a place you were let go of unceremoniously, that means something.
He was, and he was one of the things I always appreciated is he was always a guy who emphasized that he was a player first. Before he came to work on the raid team, he was a Destiny player first. That's what I admired about guys like Dylan also, was they knew how to advocate from it as what they had seen as players. Granted, that was back in D1, but they knew what the player base wanted. They were still intact with the player base. And I always respected
the balls it takes to go into LFGs as the goddamn game director, and just join random people for dungeon runs and stuff. Like that takes some balls, and we appreciated his clarity. It felt like you were talking to a human, when he sat down with that notebook and talked to us and just gave it to us straight. Hey, here's our plans. That was tone deaf. This is what we're trying to do. I think that's what this past year has been kind of hard to contend with. Is Bungie is always like, yes, they're a $1 billion corporation, but they've always felt like we were on this ride with them. And it just felt different than other games.
It's funny, like, in light of all the Xbox news that we've had this week, which Corey and I will break down on Monday on Xbox Casuals, as well as Phil Spencer's announcement next week about the future of the platform, there's been an interesting question brought up. And I see a lot of people bringing it up in terms of Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo and stuff, but I want to address it kind of on the level of like the relationship that people have had over the years with Blizzard and with Bungie, and even BioWare used to have it. The Bs, the triple Bs.
Oh yeah.
But Bethesda's another great one. Like it just seems to be a B studio thing. Sony Bend, look out. That we have these parasocial relationships with these companies, and at the end of the day, yes, they want to make art, but they also have to make money. And that's why I'm not super worried about the long-term future of Destiny. Like, Sony knows this is an investment. But I think that relationship can become toxic, and I really think the relationship that this player base has, at least the vocal minority has, with Bungie has become very toxic it's been increasingly toxic for years. I can kind of trace, it's always been toxic, but I really trace it back to when stasis was broken in PvP is kind of my evidence of where it started.
And it stayed broken for like 7-8 months,
it stayed broken for 7 or 8 months. And I mean, like, and it was fine. Like once we got the explanation and, I think most of us were understanding that, hey, it's a pandemic. They're adjusting to working from home, this and that.
Yeah.
And then they followed up with this amazing expansion in Witch Queen, and we're like, oh my god, it's saved. And then
every season after that, it was building. This is awesome. This is exactly what we've wanted from PvE and the story and the loot and all the 3.0 subclasses, and then we got to Lightfall.
Yeah.
And we got one new Crucible map after 4 years, and it was Disjunction. you know,
and then I mean, you just look at the evidence. Like there's been prominent PvP players who were like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited that Citadel's coming back!" Within 12 hours of it being in the game, oh, why the fuck is Citadel here? I fucking hate Citadel. The exact same individuals. And I'm just like, guys, you've got to stop this. You can't ask for something and then get upset when it happens and go, no, not like this. Like, this is a team that they are trying. They are working through the fact that studio legends have been let go. Like, Michael Salvatore was let go. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
that's something I've been thinking about since that happened. Is like, I don't care what your position is at Bungie, when they can cut the woman who literally designed the Halo logo and the man who scored Halo and all of Destiny, if those people's jobs aren't secure, you QA tester or a junior engineer, how secure do you feel in your job? How much work are you going to come in and put in every day? How much of your soul are you going to,
we go through this whole saga this week with the Billy special emblem, which looks fucking awesome. It's one of the last ones that one of the emblem designers who was let go designed, and he couldn't even figure out how to get his own fucking emblem. And Bungie had to come out and be like, "No, we're going to give it to everybody in a couple weeks." Like for Chinese New Year. Like, thanks, but this should have happened sooner. I want to get off the topic of complaining about anything. We do genuinely have things to talk about. We spent like 40 minutes complaining so far, at least.
Yep, and I apologize. That was probably my fault.
No.
I hit up Josh complaining because I finally came back to Destiny. I was excited to get back into it. After
John kind of snapped is a bad word, but John kind of like at a certain point just kind of was like, what? So yeah, 45 minutes into the show now. Let's get to something positive.
Back to the Mass Effect armor.
Well, we do have a question about it later on, but let's fly through this Schwab real fast. A little bit meatier than I was planning on this week, but Game to Give had a record-breaking campaign. We always like charity initiative here. We participated, if you guys remember correctly, from a couple weeks ago. Saint took the initiative on setting that one up. Did a really good one. I will get a final number from him this week so that we can read it off next week and put it in the episode comments also. But 65,000 donations from 120 different countries across the globe that raised $3.1 million. That's huge. We're never going to be upset over charity initiatives here. Like I saw people trying to disparage this and be like, why are you pushing this right now? You need to fix your fucking game. Like, no, fuck you. We always appreciate a good charitative initiative here. Okay. Even if we got to bribe y'all motherfuckers with emblems that have been vaulted for years. So happy about that. 14th anniversary of the Bungie Foundation. And this is one of the biggest campaigns they've ever had. So shout out there. Some good news for players. The exact thing that I was talking about last week that I really hoped was going to happen is happening. Weapon rewards updating. Early March in update 7.3.5, we're adding new and returning weapons to the loot pools for Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner, and Nightfalls. These weapons will all be additions to the current pool and will not replace any existing weapons this season. So if you're after any weapons in the pool, they will still be waiting for you after this update. The new weapons. John, are you ready for this? Because I was really hoping we would get... I was hoping that we would get more weapons put into the other pools also, but I'll take anything at this point. I literally will take anything. It's It's fairly clear these were supposed to ship with the final shape, but
Yeah.
I'll take them. Trials of Osiris. We're getting a brand new scout rifle. I love a good good scout. A good scout. It's an aggressive frame called the Prophet. Primary ammo. It's got stasis. And of course, it's got the origin traits you expect, but that spicy one at the end, the Tex balanced stock. So this is a Tex Machina Scout.
Yeah, is this got to be a lever action, right?
That's dude, I this cowboy rifle time. And I'm so excited it's not going in the energy slot this time. That was my one complaint about Long Arm was that it went in that slot.
Yep. Naturally, most of the perks are going to be PvP leaning, but literally all they have to do is just make Headstone one of the perks.
I would say it's probably a guarantee.
Yeah, we're happy.
And then an old favorite of ours, the Summoner is coming back for its 3rd time in the loot pool? 4th time? It's a good one to keep coming back to, though. I'll say that. This is definitely is one you should be chasing to get the synergy with your solar subclasses.
And it has Wildcard as an origin trait, the one that makes the little Telesto bolts.
Yes. So this is now considered a Cassioid.
Yeah. Wildcard's a wild
That's
perk.
going to be wild.
Yeah. Can I just say how ballsy it is for Bungie to make an origin perk that has anything to do with Telesto into this game?
The whole game could break. Here's one that I feel like John is really excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Tusk of the Boar grenade launcher from the Iron Banner. This is a Strand special ammo wave frame grenade launcher with Skulking Wolf and field tested as its origin traits. And this will be the only obtainable Strand wave frame breach loaded grenade launcher in the game.
It's the first. We just got the first stasis one in the deep dungeon. So this is our first Strand one. And it's,
and I know you're excited about this.
Yep, and field tested is honestly an awesome origin trait here, especially for a breach loaded. I believe it. Has
remind me what field tested does again.
I'm gonna pull up the. Let's see. Let's go to Light GG.
While you're doing that, the reprise weapon we're getting in the Iron Banner is another fan favorite, the Multimach CCX SMG. Of course, that's a light frame primary kinetic, and this also has Skulking Wolf and field tested on it. So you know what you're getting with Multimach, but a lot of people were upset when this was taken out. Like, oh, we didn't get enough warning. We wanted to grind it out more. Blah blah blah. It's still one of the best PvP SMGs out there. And now more people get to terrorize you with it. If you weren't already triggered enough from Immortal for the last year and a half.
Oh yeah, I still have my 2 God roll multi-mox, so I was too afraid to get rid of them because they were just.
I still have one as well. Yeah.
Quickly, field tested, and keep in mind the play style that you need when you're spamming a breach load in PvE.
Yes.
After 5 kills, and this buff only goes away if you die. You're up to 55% reload speed bonus.
Jesus, now imagine that.
That's just the origin trait.
Imagine that if you're combining that with like the Hunter Dodge or something on Solar.
Yeah, so for an origin trait that is so free, doubling your reload speed just for getting 5 kills with a breach load, that's actually a really good origin trait on a breach loaded. Anyways,
that's fucking wild. I'm really, really happy about this one. And then Nightfalls. I'm excited about this. These are 2 brand new weapons. Neither of these is reprised. And both of these have reasons to get us excited. There is a Solar double fire frame breach loaded grenade launcher. It's only the second one. This is a Tex Machina grenade launcher.
Yep, just like the one from the dungeon. I have a Void one, and it has been part of my rotation. Whenever I'm doing Void stuff, this is what I reach to. I'm so excited to get a Solar one.
Yeah, so this sounds really dope. Of course, Solar is a very popular subclass right now. Regardless of which class you play, it's popular. So this will be really good. I'm most excited. This is the most exciting weapon on the list for me. The Slammer sword. It is a stasis vortex frame sword. I am so excited about this.
A spin to win with Cold Steel could potentially be really spicy.
Yes. So there was an adjustment. Actually, I want to make sure that I'm saying all this correctly. They did issue a They issued a
correction.
Yes, thank you. I'm fumbling around my words right now while I'm looking for because I liked it on Twitter and did not bookmark the page. Bungie put out a correction saying Uh oh, it's Warden's Law. Never mind. I thought it was a correction about this. There is something that's wrong on here though, because it says it's stasis. No, never mind. I kept reading it as strand and not stasis. I am still excited about this no matter what. I was more excited when I thought this was a strand sword all afternoon.
No, well, the thing is with that cold steel perk, you know how much shatter damage can add up. That's so introducing that to a spin to win DPS phase where you're also just getting free shatter damage every couple of hits. Could be good. We'll have to, again, we'll have to let the Astacrosses and the Fallouts do the testing and crunch the numbers. But
I'm just excited for a Vortex frame sword that's not
Falling Guillotine.
Falling Guillotine, which has never once left my inventory since I got a god roll of it back in Arrivals.
And all the other Vortex frames that they've given us have had like fun crowd control perks, like Chain Reaction and Incandescent, and they're fun to use, but it's not gonna. You're still only using Falling Guillotine.
Well, the other thing that excites me are the two origin traits here are worth noting. Also, Stunning Recovery and Vanguard's Vindication. So I'm excited to have a sword that can pull from those as well.
Yeah, if we ever have swords on the artifact, it could be a fun, risky champion killer.
It could be fun. I like things that are wacky and like situational, and like a Nightfall, I don't mind that being the reward.
That's the other thing with Cold Steel; it's always going to be a champion stunner because one hit slows, the next hit freezes. So. Could be a good thing to use on Unstoppables if you just hate the Unstoppable suite for a season.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with it. I wanna move on real quick. We have the dates of when these are going to be available. March 5th, the week of March 5th, the Wild Style Grenade Launcher will be available as the featured Nightfall weapon as well as its Adept version. I don't know off the top of my head what GM that is, but I imagine that whatever it is, we're all grinding it.
Oh yeah.
Week 16, the Summoner will be the featured weapon of Week 16 in Trials, March the 12th. Week 17, the Slammer will be the featured Nightfall weapon as well as the Prophet being the featured Trials weapon. And in Week 19, Tusk of the Boar and Multimach will be added to the Iron Banner loot pool. These weapons will reappear as featured weapons throughout the remainder of the season, so it just kind of sounds like we're going to go in a rotation with these probably, and persist as part of the loopholes in the final shape. So they are guaranteed to be in here with the final shape. That's another good thing. Like they're not trying to like FOMO you into getting in here if you've already dipped. Like I think that's the most important thing here. Also, is that I feel like we're clearly headed for the mid-season patch at the beginning of March, and they're bringing some other changes along. I'm curious to see what else they put in as part of this, because it's looking like it's going to be kind of beefy, but more on that in just a second. There's a complete list of the Season of the Wish loot pools for the weapons. Once those are all in there, you guys can look at this on your own time. The Iron Banner pool is huge.
Oh yeah,
this is fucking huge. Nightfalls and Trials just as big also, and then they're going to become smaller. Upcoming loot pools, however. This is something I wanted to talk about with you also. To account for the length of this season and the upcoming episodes that will be longer than previous seasons, we are increasing the Nightfall weapon pool to 8 weapons. The plan is for Trials to return to 6 weapons in rotation to allow its Adept weapons to have more chances to be featured, taking into account the weeks that Trials will be disabled, such as Iron Banner weeks. The initial loot pools for the final shape are here. A whole whopping 4 months before we get our hands on it. Trials, Unrevealed Weapon A, Unrevealed Weapon B. Can't wait for Unrevealed Weapon B. Let me tell you, it's going to be a killer.
Oh, I'm hype.
It's going to be another fucking glaive. I just know it. I just know it's going to be another glaive.
No, it's good. 100%. Half of these are going to be rocket pistols and healing auto rifles.
Oh my god, can you imagine a Trials healing auto rifle?
I can't wait to see how that weapon archetype works. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I feel like it's going to be one of those things that's either absolutely useless or busted. Like it. Anyways.
I mean, you can already roll Heal Clip, which I actually quite like. I have it on my Abyss Defiant. The Summoner, the Prophet will both be in there. The Strand Trace Rifle introduced this season will be there, and Eye of Soul will still be there. So it does look like we are going to lose Igneous Hammer. We're going to lose the Glaive. We are going to lose the Strand Drum grenade launcher that's in there. The Messenger is leaving again. And yeah, those 4 weapons are going to be out of the trials pool. You have the rest of the season. You have 4 months to get them. Highly, highly, highly encourage you getting the Messenger if you do not have it. It is still one of the best kinetic weapons in the game all these years later. Igneous Hammer, still really, really good. I don't know about the grenade launcher, but I'm getting one and throwing it in my vault anyways, just in case. And the glaive, well, we all know how I feel about glaives.
The grenade launcher is the ultimate copium grenade launcher for if we ever find ourselves in a heavy GL meta for damage. It does have bait and switch. So
yeah, I've been triggered too much in the past. So
I will be your ass off for a heavy GL that never gets used. Yeah.
Man, I was so lucky having a Swarm of the Raven when that became meta. I had one just sitting in my vault. Let me tell you, every other heavy meta we've ever gotten into, I don't know if anybody remembers how many times I did the second encounter in Duality trying to get Storm Chaser when it was the only triple shot linear. I have 60 clears on that encounter alone, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting, because then Taipan becomes really good like a season later.
Yeah, a season later, they let you craft the best linear in the game.
I'm so fucking mad. Iron Banner will have Unrevealed Weapon A and B, obviously. Multi-Mock and Tusk of the Boar is still there. Lethal Abundance, which is the Strand Auto. The Reese Walker Kinetic Shoddy. Point of the Stag, which is the Arc Bow. And Guiding Sight, Strand Scout will all still be part of the pool, which means Bite of the Fox, Pressurized Precision, Yoram's Claw, and Swarm of the Raven are all leaving the loot pool in Iron Banner next year. And then Nightfall's Weapon A and B, Wild Style, Slammer, the Undercurrent Arc, Breach Loaded Grenade. God, that's such a mouthful. Is going to be there. Warden's Law is still going to be there. The Pre-Essentix Solar Bow and the Uzum Sniper. This is the least impressive pool, I think, out of these 3. Like, pretty easily.
Like, the rotations don't matter as much now that you can focus older drops.
Well, so the only 2 weapons we're going to lose from Nightfalls are, like, arguably ones that we'd want to keep. Like, Braytech Osprey, okay, fine. Loaded Question is leaving already. Why would you take Loaded Question out and leave us with 2 Breach Loaders? And then I remembered that Undercurrent just came out. So,
yeah.
We just got it this season. But these should become legacy weapons you can focus. So it's like it's not as detrimental when they go away now, unless it's a Trials weapon. Then it's like, well,
yeah. For Trials and Nightfalls, it just means you're not grinding Adepts. But
Nightfalls, to be fair, I don't think are nearly as bad to pull the old weapons from. Trials, it's a fucking hassle.
Yeah.
Because then you got to decide. I got to go finish getting all the Trials armor. I guarantee you, a Trials armor refresh is coming with the final shape, and that terrifies me. Iron Banner is going to return. We've already had 3 Iron Banners. There are 2 more chances to jump back in to commemorate the Iron Lords. April 2nd and April 30th, we're getting more Iron Banner. I don't know if those dates, if we had more dates beyond the ones we've already hit or not. I would have to go look, and I'll report back next week. But I feel like we're not going to go the rest of February and all of March without an Iron Banner.
Yeah. Don't miss out on that banana emblem, everybody.
God, dude, I'm working towards that. I've had cosmically bad luck. Every Iron Banner for the past year has just happened when I've been busy or in the middle of personal trauma. So I'm getting my Iron Bananas emblem, and then I'm not taking it off because I love that emblem so much. It just reminds me of going grocery shopping when I see it. That's my place of zen and peace. The produce aisle at HEB. The future is bright. As we head towards the final shape, we're honoring Guardians with a new weekly gift of Bright Dust. Starting on March 5th, players can visit the Eververse store to claim 700 Bright Dust each week leading up to the launch of the final shape. That comes out to, I believe you did the math, 9,100 Bright Dust?
Yep, 9,100 Bright Dust. If you log in to talk the test every week, that's pretty damn good for free.
That's pretty good for free. This is one of the things that we were calling when we've heard about the delay. You guys got to give stuff away. You got to do this. We need double Trials drops. We need... or double Engram drops from Trials or something like that.
Enough Bright Dust to buy a full set of armor is pretty, and still have 3,000 left over is pretty good. You're doing
hope the Guardian Games armor is... Oh, you know what? That's why we're not going to get an Iron Banner in March, because Guardian Games is in March. Yeah. I forgot about that. Guardian Games is like 2 weeks away, and I could not give less of a shit.
I give a little. Yeah, I
Titans
respect.
Can
your
have
position.
this one. The Titans can have this one.
I totally respect not caring about it, but I do care a little bit about it now that they finally gave me a PvP mode that's class v class. That's what has me a little bit excited.
I talked with the other hunters. We're okay. We're okay with skipping out this year. I talked with them. It's okay.
I'll concede though, and don't tell any other Titans. Going up against 6 warlocks is so terrifying and frustrating.
It's terrifying and frustrating for any class, because if I go up against warlocks, it's like 6 chaos reaches or 6 fucking wells in my face.
Everybody's in a rift. Everyone's around a corner throwing buddies at you.
And then let me tell you, when I fight the Titans, it's not any better because I hear the hammers clink, or I hear bzzz, and it's just terrifying, brother. Like, I don't know if it's.
Do you know the endorphin rush of loading into a PvP match and hearing all 6 of you shoulder charge just to cover 12 feet as you run?
I'm so glad that shoulder charge was fucking nerfed. I'm so happy. How terrifying is it when you hear all those golden guns start popping? Is that scary? Or like multiple?
Well,
like
now it's Strand. I don't know if you've kept up with the PvP. The threadling builds that hunters and warlocks have going on are just obnoxious.
It's not great.
You are just constantly running from Baya blades and little strand spiders all over the place, and hopefully they're not also shooting.
What'd you just call them?
Baya blades. The
blades. They're Beyblades. There's no O in the name, John.
Well, I didn't do that.
I was a child who played with Beyblades. Okay. I was a menace with those things.
Pretty sure I was already drinking by the time those came out. Okay,
yeah,
I
was
Josh.
Like, brother, my voice had not yet dropped. I was in the 5th grade. I hustled kids playing Beyblades and taking Yu-Gi-Oh cards from them. So, yeah.
At any rate,
that was how I spent my days on the playground. Also, of note, the armor synthesis bounties are getting refreshed on March 5th, which is a reminder I need to go finish the ones I already have.
Well, this was one of the corrections. They listed it as 8 here. It'll be the full 10.
Yeah. It'll be the full 10. This will be like a standard seasonal reset. Players will once again have 10 available bounty. They've already corrected it in here. 10 available bounties per character. Nice. It's a great opportunity to earn even more synthweave as we lead up to the final shape. Currently have unfinished bounties. Make sure to complete them before March 5th because they won't stack with the... Oh, that's where the correction needed. They won't stack with the 8 bounties available. The 10 bounties available. Cool. I think all of us expected to see something like that. Also, those are worth a hefty amount of XP. Just go ahead and do them. So I'll be doing them. I don't know how much I have really left to transmog that I care about, but it's good news, especially
for me on my other characters. Like
I
already have all the Titan armor I want, but there's lots of stuff on Warlock and Hunter I'd like to get unlocked just to have to play with.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see what else they're gonna do, because this March update is shaping up to be pretty big. We know we're getting Guardian Games with it. We're getting the bounty reset. We're getting the new loopholes.
Whatever Into the Light is.
I figured all this would be saved for Into the Light, which is not coming until April.
Yeah. I'd also imagine we're getting pretty close to the time where we're gonna start getting the hype train from Bungie, which works every time because they're great at it, of teasing more things about the final shape. After that, I know we're
about 6 weeks out.
Yeah,
we're 6 weeks.
We're about at that time.
They said no footage, no Vidocs, no more details until April. Yeah. So I was trying to explain this to a friend the other day who for the state of play, he's like, "Oh, I guarantee you we're seeing the final shape today." I was like, "Actually, I guarantee you we're fucking not." He was like, "Well, we're seeing Marathon." I was like, "Oh, we're definitely not seeing Marathon." I was like,
maybe if final shape hadn't been delayed, there would have been something at the state of play. But yeah, absolutely.
Oh, they would have, because they would have had the final trailer. We would have been getting the Vidoc that week and everything else. Yeah, no.
Nathan Fillion would have been on stage. No.
Oh my lord. Let's shift real quick. I want to get this in before we do questions. We wanted to get to our main topic tonight. Talking about the weapon suite this season. I have said repeatedly how I feel about the Undying weapons on this show. I think they're a fucking joke. I think they're bad. The new loot pools are slightly better, but I still don't think they're anything to write home about personally. John, how do you feel about the Undying weapons being back? You're our gunsmith. You tell me if I'm in the wrong.
You're not wrong. You're also not right, if that makes sense.
Fuck you.
I know 180 hand cannons is a lifestyle. Either you love them
Yeah.
or hate them. If you do like them, adoptive. I can't even pronounce that. I'm going to call it adoptive. APT, adaptive. Fucking text weapons. Anyways, the hand cannon, the void hand cannon, is it does have some spicy things to offer. I do think the origin trade on them is pretty interesting. I do want to shout out Adhorative, the Solar Pulse specifically. I think this is kind of the problem with a lot of these weapons this year, and we've talked about it the last time I was on the show. Even a lot of these are just side grades. Are any of these better than what we can currently use? Not really.
No, and that's been a recurring thing that you and I have talked about a lot too.
Yeah. But nano munitions is a pretty cool trade. It's just free reloads if you're playing on a fire team. But I do want to shout out the pulse specifically from the Undying weapons because it is a strict side grade to any other solar incandescent thing you're using in PvE because of heal clip. Heal clip incandescent, especially in like grandmasters or higher level stuff, is pretty good. Attrition orbs, if you're really going all in and you need to make more orbs, it's free orbs and incandescent. But yeah, largely these are just subjunctive. It has okay rolls. Am I ever going to use that over Ikelos SMG? Probably not.
No, and like that's fine. Like it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I certainly won't be using it over like Ikelos or Callus Mini Duel or anything like that. And that's okay. Like there's only so much you can do when the weapons themselves weren't good to begin with. Like new perks aren't going to instantly make them good.
Yeah.
They help a lot, but they're not going to make them instantly good. I kind of would have preferred that these been saved for Echo, since that's going to be a Vex team season.
I just hope we get newer
episode.
At that point.
I would have I think it would have been really fitting to have seen the Season of Dawn weapons come back here.
Oh God.
I mean, listen.
You know how I feel about those. So
we gotta have an R-rated rating before we talk about those, because John and I will get a little too excited on the microphones. Listen, if I ever see my beloved patron of saints or my breachlight come back, oh boy!
I fucking hate scouts. I miss that scout.
that is still my favorite scout of all time. I still bust it out from time to time in PvP just for kicks. Let's get it. Yeah. I guess before we get into the actual weapons we can get from Riven. John, your favorite auto rifle of all time came back this season.
Yes, the Breakneck is back.
I cede the floor to you for the next 90 seconds to talk about Breakneck.
Sadly, I have not gotten the roll.
God damn it! All right, it's revoked.
It's revoked, but no. Obviously, it was completely. But the interesting thing about Onslaught, in case anyone doesn't know. It increases rate of fire after kills, but it doesn't reduce the damage profile. So it still has the damage of a 450 auto rifle, even when it ramps up all the way to a 600 RPM. So it has an inherent damage boost there with the rate of fire. The original Breakneck also had Rampage, and that's what made it stupid. But now you can get it with Subsistence. And
Subsistence is so good with it, though.
Yeah, because you can just keep going. But sadly, I have not gotten those two perks to drop together, because guess what? You got to grind to get it.
Gambit.
Good old Gambit. But that is on my... Now that I'm working my way back into my Destiny flow, that's on the top of my list. I have one with Subsistence. I have one with Onslaught. Just not together, but we'll get there.
Another one that I like for this is I like Dynamic Sway on this.
Yeah, for PvP, that's another thing.
I've long been a fan of Dynamic Sway, mostly on SMGs. I still think it's a very good perk to run on an SMG. But it's one of those that I think kind of gets forgotten because it's not a sexy perk, quote unquote. But man, you see people complain, "Oh, it's like a fucking laser." Like, yeah, that's why it's a laser. Dynamic Sway is really fucking good.
Yeah, and honestly, auto rifles are pretty decent in this meta, especially
Yeah,
the 380s and the 450s. They've got some range. They have a lot better stability, especially with what they introduced this year, where things no longer have completely random recoil patterns. They have much more predictable recoil patterns. You can get a very consistent auto rifle that will compete with hand cannons in PvP, which is nice without being in the obnoxious. I'm sure you remember like the summoner gnawing hunger meta, hard light meta that we had right after. What was that? Beyond Light.
Yep, I remember.
So it's not nearly as obnoxious as that, but they can compete at range. They can compete with pulses and hand cannons. So there's that. I do want to, before we move on from Breakneck, want to shout out one world drop to keep an eye out for: the Void Auto Rifle Ross Argo 4. It can also get Subsistence and Onslaught and has the Wildcard trait, and it's Void, so it can have volatile rounds whenever we're back to doing Void stuff. So I believe this is the first Void 600 RPM auto rifle of note since Gnawing Hunger. That's been kind of a big open slot.
Yeah. I mean, like, Gnawing Hunger is like, it's fine, right? Yeah. It's fine, but like we haven't gotten a perk. We haven't gotten a perk refresh on that since like Arrivals.
Yep.
It's
been one of the only ones in the for the 600 RPMs. But yeah, like I said, this can also get the Breakneck roll. It can also get the Subsistence Onslaught, and just
it is. It's worth noting. So Onslaught is on a couple of weapons. It's not just on Breakneck. Yeah. Which is nice. That's the other nice thing. Like it's still the best on here, but man, it's so fucking good. I love this.
It's so fun. I guarantee we'll never see it on a hand cannon unless they can nerf the perk.
The other weapon I wanted to touch on right before we get into talking about the seasonal weapons. This was inspired partially by a question by the dealer. Dealer writes in. Yeah, Dealer, old friend of ours, writes in and asks, if I can get back to my question screen real fast, what is one weapon you do not have and the role you want on it? Mine is Wilder Flight with auto-loading, disruption break with blinding nades, and quick launch. Mine is Incisor, the Trials Strand Trace rifle. I have not gotten a chance to get in there and get one yet. I'm asking our buddy Saint 14 to carry me through it. But God, the perks on this they're silly. They're fucking silly on this. Like, I want to read off the first column alone: Subsistence, Envious Assassin, Zen Moment, Perpetual Motion, Dynamic Sway, Offhand Strike, Slice. What the fuck? What the fuck, guys?
Subsistence Killing Tally is so good.
Subsistence is even the best perk. That's the wildest thing.
Yep. No, but specifically with Killing Tally, never having to reload lets you keep that damage buff up.
Anytime that I look at a list and and Zen Moment is like the 5th best perk, I know that it's a great perk pool.
Yep.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head. I really want Subsistence Killing Tally or Slice. I like Slice Kill Clip. Like, that's a spicy one. Or Slice Hatchling. Target Lock. You get Target Lock on this. You get Target Lock on it. I'll take any half decent roll on this. Tap the Trigger is on here, which I don't think is as sexy with this one as it is with some of the other traces.
Unless you're actually going to be using it in PvP. And obviously, as a Trials weapon, they do have to have, you just want consistency, you just want stability. If you're going to be a weirdo like me and use a Trace Rifle in PvP.
Unbelievably excited to get one of these. I like all of those. Tactical Battery and Particle Repeater are two of the ones that can be on here too.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, this thing, it's fucking silly. This is a fucking silly weapon, and I can't wait to get it. This is my answer to Dealer's question. I want Incisor with Subsistence Killing Tally or with Slice Hatchling. Those are the roles that I want on this, just to play around with. So very excited for that one. Let's shift into the actual wish weapons though, John. There's, by my count, there's 4 of these weapons that I really like. Out of the 6. I'm not big on the bow personally.
Yep.
I'm not a big bow guy.
Yeah,
I think there,
just like
there's
hand cannons. If you're a bow guy,
yeah.
this one has some things to offer, especially
I
being
think the
craftable.
spiciest thing you can get on the bow is the perk that works against like Titan barricades. That like might be low key kind of a sexy perk for PvP.
Yeah.
Um, if you
Disruption
play a
break.
support class, I should clarify that.
If you have no soul and you want to hot swap to, do a bow disruption break shot into a hand cannon shot for the cleanup, this is a craftable lightweight bow with impulse amplifier even or slick draw, steady
Yeah.
hands. If you want to be that kind of degenerate, this is a good craftable option for you. Outside of that, I'm not touching it.
No. The four that I have on here for us, that I like, the scatter signal strand fusion, the Apentis stasis trace, the scalar potential arc pulse rifle, and the Doom petitioner void linear. I am missing a weapon somewhere that I'm not thinking about.
The super cluster is the strand slug shotgun.
Oh yeah, it does nothing for me. I was so excited for it. That thing reloads so goddamn slow. I don't know if it was my specific roles that I've been trying, but that thing, in the time it takes to reload, I went from having full health and shields to being dead. In the time it took me to get one round into the chamber in the blind well.
I feel like it's that way to compensate for the fact that you can get either slide shot or reconstruction.
And I mean, like that, and that's fine. Like I think definitely, reconstruction is absolutely the way to go on this gun. I think it's situational, and just there's so many better slug
if you want a
DPS.
if you want a DPS with the slug, this is another one. It's strand, if that matters to you. Cascade point could almost be kind of funny.
I have run it with Cascade Point. It is, I can confirm it's silly, but it's just the reload really takes it out of me. Unless like, I mean, I always have the reload dodge on, so like I guess it doesn't bother me as much. But like just loading the next round into the chamber is just an exhausting exercise. I'm not cool with that. There's better slug shotties out there in my opinion, especially primary ones. But we're also not in a slug shotty meta right now, so. I'm not personally worrying about this one. It's one of those, I got the pattern and I threw it in. I'm way less excited about this now than I was in week one, where I was like, damn, because I was just seeing the perks. I was like, shit, this is going to be a lot of fun. And nope, not having a good time. Scalar potential is another one. Like I'm like really up and down on this one. Like I personally have not had a good time with this, but I have had so many people tell me, no, it's good, man. It's good.
And just like I said about at Horde of, how many arc pulse rifles do we have in the game right now? What is this possibly going to offer? I
don't want to talk about arc pulse rifles because I still don't have the one from Neomuna, and I'm still upset about it. I'm done. I'm done trying to get it. I'm done trying to get it.
If you're looking at PvP, yeah, you can do Keep Away Head Seeker. We already have that on multiple pulses.
Yeah.
There's nothing really on here damage wise. Like it's another one with Golden Tricorn if you want to.
Yeah. Oh boy, another pulse with Golden Tricorn and Head Seeker. Oh boy.
If this is the only one, if this is your first pulse that you can craft and make perfect, then sure, it's fine. But
I mean, I'm intrigued by because I have Overflow Head Seeker on mine, and like it's fine. The reload is abysmal on this gun. It's so bad. I just, in terms of like not even just like arc pulses, in terms of rapid fires, we have so much better ones.
Yeah, we just have so many of them.
Why would I use this over? And again, like if you don't have these weapons, obviously, but why would I use this over Peace of Mind, for example? I wouldn't. Like I just wouldn't. I also like the harder hitting pulses though, so maybe that's why I'm just like poo-pooing on this.
This is my favorite kind of pulse, but we've had so many since the great sunsetting of Beyond Light that
I'm gonna kind of continue to poo-poo on this a little bit, but it's not a bad weapon by any means. It's not for me personally. Again, most of the people I've heard who like this like it in PvP. So
yep. But even then, we have Adept Horror's Lease. We have craftable from Neomuna. Whatever.
We have Adept Messenger. What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah,
Um,
we're not short for hell. Even the Crucible drop pulse rifle is
oh, I low-key really like that one.
yeah,
Autumn's Wind.
yeah, Autumn's Wind. Yeah, we just have so many options.
Big
Again,
fan. And
this is
it's not Shax doesn't throw 3 of those at me every match.
there
So
you go. Yeah, not like you can't just go get one of those with 3 perks in each column if you wanted.
the remaining 3 weapons I really love though. I
Yeah,
genuinely love the 3 remaining ones. Doom Petitioner is one I want to talk about next.
yeah,
This is outstanding.
yeah.
This is an
No, it is
outstanding
a
one.
great.
Reconstruction moving target, reconstruction surrounded. You can roll those on it. Precision instrument is the big one that a lot of people like. God, precision instrument is so good. That's such a
Yeah,
good perk.
obviously it's very unforgiving if you miss a headshot, but if you're doing real damage phases, if you got a divinity bubble,
Yep.
but
Yep.
also this is the only other one other than Briar's Contempt. It's the aggressive 3-round burst with surrounded. Obviously, you have to be in very specific situations, but
Like
you don't have
something like the Vault of Glass or
the
Garden of Salvation.
the Season of the Deep dungeon, that boss
It
fight.
goes to the deep. Yep.
Goes to the
Yep.
deep. Yeah, Briar's is just a little better because it literally does more damage to Hive Guardians. But that's an example of a situation where having surrounded, having a 55%, I believe it is, damage buff is pretty crazy. But because this is craftable, you can switch that around if you don't need that anymore. But it's it's a really good contender. For as far as our 3-round burst linears go, and it's a craftable one and one that's easy to obtain.
Yeah. This is absolutely the first one. I was so happy this is the first one that was craftable for me. I'm absolutely going to be leveling this up during Guardian games, especially if they bring back the double leveling again. That was when I got my Taipan done. That's when you get all your heavies done. Your heavies, your snipers, things like that. You get them all done during things like Guardian games. So I'm really excited for this one. I think this is going to be a big weapon going into the final shape, personally. You better believe I will have one of these leveled up, maxed out, ready to go for a day 1 raid. I will have this ready to go. Another one I'll be bringing along is the Apensis, the Stasis Trace. This is a poor man's Aegers.
I was excited about this, Josh.
I didn't want to invoke the name of Aegers because our friend Phil is the king of Aeger's Scepter. But I have to invoke it a little bit because this really is a poor man's. Again, these perks are silly. Demolitionist, Enlightened Action, Clown Cartridge, Overflow, Slideways, Hip Fire, and Loose Change. In your second column, you've got One for All, Killing Tally, Attrition Orbs, Headstone, Deconstruct, which is that new perk we were talking about, Wellspring, and High Ground. Outside of High Ground and Loose Change, this is a pretty great perk pool.
Yeah.
I have Overflow Headstone on my crafted one, and oh boy.
It's a lot of fun. Is it better than Aegers? No, but I'm happy to have an option for that slot that is an exotic.
Yeah, it frees up another exotic slot for me, which I've been running mainly exotic trace rifles for the last couple seasons, specifically Cold Heart. I've just been doing constantly. This does free up for you to do another one, or if you want you want to run something differently, or if you're the galley guy. I often volunteer to be on galley duty. This is a great primary to run.
Yep. But even if you just want to run Sunshot or Vex Mythoclast or whatever, having having a kinetic slot trace rifle that isn't just the 2 exotic options is awesome. Yeah, and they both have this and the Trials one both have great perks. So
this is a really good one. I'm thrilled that we finally got a Stasis Trace that is legendary. Man, we've had Aegers for a while.
Oh yeah,
we've had Aegers for over 2 years, I think. We got it during.
Now give me a kinetic slot legendary glaive, please.
I need that to be. I need the first one of those to be a raid weapon, though, so that way I know that it's going to get the attention it needs.
Yeah.
And maybe it won't be totally busted.
It's just all of my favorite primaries are in the energy slot, and I also love glaives. I'm so conflicted, Josh.
Me too. Listen, hey, buddy, listen. I can run this with a glaive now, so
there you go.
I think we found my next Iron Banner loadout. That is not a joke, by the way. I legitimately have run. I've legitimately run glaives, and I would love to run a trace in there too. Um, I unfortunately do not have the Root of Nightmares trace still. I have not gotten a single drop of it still to this day. Very upset.
Got about 6,000 kills on mine, I believe. Let me check.
God, I fucking hate you. Like, outside of you, I'm the person in our group I feel that uses traces the most, and I've gotten increasingly angry over this.
Yeah.
It was my problem with Lubray's Ruin, too. It took me like a year to get a drop of Lubray's Ruin, and I had 3 weapons fully crafted, max perks, before I even got a single one of those to drop. And then as soon as I started getting them, everyone's like, oh, I'm done with Val. And I'm like, God damn it. Guys, I at least received the chest.
I don't have it crafted, but I got extremely lucky with an incandescent reconstruction roll on it, and I love it.
So we're gonna move on to what I'm pretty sure is John's favorite weapon of the season.
I think
it's our last one.
It's I think arguably one of the best additions to any of our loadouts is the scatter signal.
Scatter signal is great. Again, this is another one of those with an absolutely silly perk pool. You in your first column, you can choose between overflow, slice, enlightened action, surplus, perpetual motion. Like,
yeah,
perpetual motion is like the 5th best perk on this list.
Slice is super interesting with the we'll see what its long-term staying power is. I know in PvP it's pretty good, that debuff where whatever you hit with Slice severs them so they do less damage to you. Like in PvP, that means they can't 3-shot with a hand cannon even if they land their headshots. That's huge. In PvE, I still don't know how good that is on itself, but right now with the artifact, there's that one where if you debuff a target with Strand or Stasis, your solar abilities do more damage. So being able to activate that while not on Strand with this weapon is super good. You just pop a barricade or do a dodge, hit them with that slice round.
And then, okay, we're honoring Osiris here.
Yeah,
we're yelling it every time we say it.
But overflow controlled burst is such a good damage option for if you ever use fusions for damage, you know that the rapid fire frames are super good for that because you can just shit out rounds, and that with controlled burst and overflow, so you can get God, I don't even know how many. I usually have like 12 rounds in the mag. Rapid fire with controlled burst making me shoot even faster. It is it's a beast. It is a workhorse. It's been in my loadout. It was the first thing I crafted. I turned all of my engrams in until I got the red borders, and it's been on my Titan since then.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fusion user, legendary fusion user, I guess I should say. But this one it's so silly. Like, when was the last time that Kickstart wasn't like automatically one of the best perks on a fusion rifle? Like, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but in that second column, I think the first column, it's a little bit more clear cut that you're going to go with like one of those 3 or 4 perks that we talked about. The second column, Hatchling, controlled burst, which I love. Kickstart and Adagio.
And I want to shout out Deconstruct. I've just had controlled burst on it since the beginning because it was an obvious go-to. Yeah. Deconstruct might be the play now that it's one of the worstly worded perks in the game, but you and I talked after our dungeon weapon discussion, and I found out that on the sniper, it basically meant I could shoot every round from reserves without reloading. Deconstruct might even be the play here. But
yeah, I need to fool around with Deconstruct as a perk. I admittedly have not used it very much. I just
it reads like
I see those other ones and I'm like, those are the ones I want to go for. I'm always going to trade the extra damage, I think, especially because I'm trying to think of roles for the weapon that are going to work in both PvE and PvP. And for me, that's where controlled burst comes in, I think, on this. God, just how good. Like, especially if we ever get particle deconstruct back, imagine getting that with this perk. Like, that's outstanding. Oh yeah, that's like us terrorizing with Cartesian coordinate again.
Yep. No, this is just a workhorse. It's going to be part of a lot of people's loadouts for a lot of activities, and scarily, I don't know that they top it without really busting the whole game open or taking all our toys away and starting fresh. Because what else could you want on a fusion for damage? Anyways,
yeah, this is pretty great. So. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out from like any other mode that you played that like we maybe didn't cover a specific weapon that you've really been enjoying? I know we're both kind of like not really there right now this season, but anything else you would shout out?
No, because I already touched on it. Both Breakneck and the World Drop that I have already forgotten the name of because the weird World Drop names are so forgettable. But the Breakneck and Void Breakneck, I'm very happy to have in the game. Still need to get my perfect rolls on those. But no, the weapons are good this season, and just a random thing. Not that Destiny weapons are ever ugly, but these seasonal weapons are gorgeous. The way that they look are just chef's kiss. They shade incredibly well, and like most of the things from the Dreaming City, they are just very extra, and I appreciate them.
Yeah, that's one of my things about the Undying weapons is I really wish that they were just better because I think they actually look kind of cool with the leaves and stuff. I've come around in the 4 years since they originally came out. I used to think these looked and played like shit. Now I just think they play like shit.
Yeah.
But I'm
Dragon's
really
Breath
enjoying
count?
it.
Can we shout out Dragon's Breath?
We can shout out the ornament for Dragon's Breath. That thing is filthy.
So many of us memed on them bringing Dragon's Breath back, and hey, look at that! It's a top slot damage option.
I had to pull out my Shaq memes. I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. I just, man, they cooked. They cooked with Dragon's Breath.
Yeah,
that is a stupid fun weapon to use. I'm really enjoying a lot of what we've seen this season. They kind of redeemed themselves with Witch and Wish in terms of the seasonal loadouts because, man, I cannot tell you how bad I thought Deep's overall weapon suite was, and especially like the Gambit Prime weapons or Reckoning weapons, whatever they were that came back. We were so excited for those, and we're like, oh man, these suck. It was a reminder of how far we've come. Yep. That those weapons are no longer good. Like Last Man Standing used to be one of the only 1-2 punch shotguns, and now we don't even think about 1-2 punch anymore because we just got like so many better like big damage bursts that we can do with the right builds. Like 1-2 punch, it's kind of like, oh yes, I see you're still living.
Unless you're a Strand Titan.
Or Liar's Handshake. Liar's Handshake still cooks.
It still has its place, but we just have so many of them. You don't really need to hunt them. If you're doing that thing, you have one, or you have one you can go craft.
Exactly.
I do have one last shout out before we move on. Another world drop, the Arc Rocket Launcher Crux Termination.
Okay.
This is a rocket launcher with slide shot and surrounded.
Interesting.
Rocket launcher with slide shot. I mean, you can get bipod or explosive light. Obviously, surrounded is very risky on a rocket launcher, especially if you're trying to slide shot. But yeah, reconstruction, envious assassin, slide shot, clown cartridge, and then between explosive light, bipod, or surrounded for your damage perks, it is a surprisingly good rocket launcher. Not that we aren't already swimming in DPS rocket launchers, but just wanted to point that one out. It's a really good one.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan. All right, John, let's go ahead and shift over in the questions, and then we're going to get out of here. We've gone long, so we're gonna.
You and me spending too much time talking about Destiny.
You and me spending too much time talking about Destiny. I actually need to make sure that like this recording isn't going to quit on us. I'm slightly concerned. God, yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half, or. Yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half. We're coming up on 2 hours. We got to get out of here. Let's do questions real quickly. Jiggly Panda writes in, was listening to another show and they asked a question I thought would be good to ask you guys. What is a crossover that would be perfect for Destiny? What is one that has no chance of happening would be cool to see anyways? Mass Effect and Mass Effect.
Yes.
We don't have another answer. I'm sorry. We just don't. There's not another answer. It's Mass Effect. We already got the one that was perfect, and the one we thought we would never get. If I have to give another answer though, God, I don't know. Like I want to keep this within games. I don't want to like extend this to movies and stuff. I think that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised they're not doing some sort of like mini crossover because it's a Sony game with Helljumpers 2. I thought that would happen for sure. And I think it might still happen, like maybe over the summer. I'm not saying I would want that by any means. I don't even know what you would do from Hell Jumpers that would make us want to spend money in Destiny. But I think like the inverse would happen, and some Destiny content may show up in there. It wouldn't shock me to see like the Gallarhorn show up as a weapon in it.
Yeah. I think while I don't care about this IP at all, a lot of people do, and I think it would fit right in. A 40K crossover could be interesting.
I think
again,
I think
it's not my
yeah.
bag, right? But it would thematically it would fit. And I think a lot of people would geek out about that.
I think they would. I feel like they're gonna go, and it's not. And when I say this, like, understand, I'm saying this from like a gaming crowd, from a video gaming crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know that is like the moneymaker Bungie would want. Like, yes, Assassin's Creed doesn't make a lot of sense in this universe, but it's still sold because it's Assassin's Creed. Like, Fortnite doesn't really fit, but it's still sold because Fortnite's the most popular game on the planet. I feel like, frankly, another EA crossover could happen. I feel like you could do something possibly with, and this is where the whole competitive game argument comes in. So it probably wouldn't happen, but I feel like you could do something with Apex Legends. I feel like that would be kind of an underrated crossover.
If you want my pie in the sky answer, though, because
pie in the sky answer, hit me, John.
Obviously, we got Mass Effect, so I'm like, well, shit, we got the one thing I would have said ever already. So I'm just going to go even crazier. I want a fucking Doctor Who crossover. How about that? I want a TARDIS.
I like how I was like, let's keep it to video games, and John's like, fuck you, Doctor Who.
Oh, no, fuck you. I'm knocking the doors off here. I want a Doctor Who crossover in Destiny. And everyone else would hate it that doesn't like Doctor Who, just like they did with the Magic crossover.
Yeah, I think that's another one that, like, it would fit. It would fit thematically. I don't know. I don't
see it, obviously.
This isn't me poo-pooing your question, Panda, but this is me saying, like, I just, like, as with all crossover questions, I don't this gonna sound really mean, I don't really, like, give a shit, because that, like, crossovers, nothing has appealed to me until the Mass Effect one, and that's because it's Mass Effect. Yep. That is if I hadn't played through the Mass Effect trilogy when I did 2 years ago, I would not care right now. I would be like, that's cool. I'm glad I'm getting a ship for free out of this, and then I would move on with my life. This is cool. I'm happy that, we're getting Mass Effect. Surely the collaborations are not going to stop. But I do miss the days when, like, Eververse Armor was original stuff. I would be less insulted by the crossovers if we got this level of effort in all sets of armor. And I've said that a million times. I'm going to keep beating that drum. I'm going to keep being mad about it until it happens. But, yeah, that's where I fall down on it. So, Julia Panda also writes in and says, we talk about sandwiches a lot and sometimes burgers, but what about hot dogs? What's the weirdest thing you've seen put on a hot dog? John, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen put on a hot dog?
I gotta be real with you. I don't know the last time that I've had a hot dog. There's not a lot of hot dogs.
I ate them a lot when I was poor.
Yeah. God, I'll be for real. I don't have an answer. I can't even think of the last time I've seen one in public. I don't go to sporting events. And I don't make hot dogs at home. So
yeah, the only time I ever buy a hot dog is when I go to $1 hot dog night at the Ranger Stadium, because there's just something about those hot dogs that were made like 3 hours ago that are sitting in the foil bags that just makes them taste better. You put a little bit of ketchup on it and whatnot. The weirdest thing I have ever seen, though, and I want to emphasize this, because back in 2012, my beloved Texas Rangers signed a guy named Yu Darvish from Japan to be a pitcher. It was a nearly 2-foot hot dog that weighed a pound and cost $26.
Good Lord.
Man, this thing. I want to be really clear. This is one of the absolute weirdest thing I have ever seen. It was loaded with cheese, onions, and chili. Okay, that this one was, but I gotta find, because this is a weird one. They had another strange one. Here it is, the U Dog. This is what I was thinking of. His name was Yu Darvish. It was an all beef hot dog wrapped in wonton and deep fried, and then covered in beef teriyaki, wasabi mayo, sweet and tangy seaweed salad, and sesame seeds.
You know,
This
I could
is
fuck with it. I could fuck
this
with it.
is I will find a picture. I'll find a picture of it and post it in the Discord. This is one of the weirdest fucking things I have ever seen in my entire life. But I was very intrigued and wanted to try it. People said it was culturally insensitive. I thought it was great. Man, I that hot dog though, man. Let me tell you something. That is absolutely the weirdest thing I have ever seen by far on a hot dog. Man, sweet and tangy seaweed salad is the least weird thing about the sentence I said.
I mean, it definitely sounds crazy, but I kind of want to try one.
The nearly 2 foot hot dog is pretty wild too. But yeah. Cade 6 writes in and asks, we all assume at the end of the final shape will defeat the witness. What would be your perfect ending and what would be your plot twist? I haven't really thought about this. My perfect ending would be, because I mean, let's face it, the campaign ending is gonna be fine, but we all know the true ending comes in a raid, which kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah.
There was a rumor going around last summer. I don't know how credible it is. You know, we don't like to talk about leaks or rumors, but I feel like enough time has passed that we can say it. There was a rumor going around about a 12-man raid at some point. About that being an actual mechanic. If there was ever a time and place, this is the time and place to do it. This is the only time it should ever be done, too, by the way. You were defeating the ultimate evil of the universe. This is the only time it should ever happen. I think that would be really, really cool. I just don't know how you make a 12-man raid work. It's hard enough getting a 6-man raid to work, frankly. I can only imagine.
Now we have LFG, so...
well, not only that, but imagine if 12 people walk in there using anything Cassioid. The game is going to break.
12 people with Thunderlord. Perfect.
I'm gonna...
Yes.
You're very close to getting banned. I'm gonna be honest. I really haven't thought about anything here. Our Guardian making a sacrifice also, like, that would be my ending, is like our Guardian makes a sacrifice to like seal the Traveler behind them and like lock them and the Witness in there like for all eternity.
Cage match forever.
Like, well, I mean, like they give their life force to like seal the Witness forever. Like the Traveler goes dormant afterwards, like because it gives us all of its power. Like imagine you're running around with like unlimited supers, like in the Gaul fight. The Traveler's just empowering you anytime you run through a rift, and like your supers are doing just like little tiny bits of damage. Like you get the DPS and it's just unlimited supers for like 3 rounds. That would be a really cool ending to me, but again, it would have to end with our Guardian sacrificing themselves, and that's just not going to happen. Or like Ghosts sacrificing themselves, and again, it won't happen. That would be the ending. That would be the twist ending I would like. I'm a big fan of people like sealing away evils at the cost of their life force. Apparently, I was just talking to John about another game that does that, and yeah. So, other than that, like I genuinely really haven't thought about. I thought more about how we were going to lead into the final shape, and I'm so disappointed that my plan of Saladin defending the tower is not happening. I thought we were going to see Saladin and maybe Keitel go down in like this blaze of glory, and
nope. Hey, there's still time for that.
There is still time, but man, I don't have any sort of faith in something like that happening.
My dream ending, and this is gonna sound like a joke, but I'm mostly serious. I would love to the Drifter pulls up in the hall, and we're in the helm, and we ride off to a distant solar system, and just leave this place behind.
I would love that. I have a feeling that may be how we start the next expansion.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's how we like end the next expansion going into, if there's ever a Destiny 3, I feel like that's how we would start it. I have said for a long time I would love to leave the tower behind personally.
Yep. Just have the hull throw a tow cord over to the helm. We take the main characters that matter, and we just get the hell out of the solar system, you know?
Well, and I mean, it's something that Corey and I talked about, especially after the passing of Lance Reddick last spring. It would have been a great way to write out Zavala. Also, Zavala explained, like, no, I'm gonna stay on Earth to continue leading humanity and this and that. Keitel gets to retire on Mars, but like, maybe, Mithrax goes with Ido stays on Earth to lead the Elixni, but Mithrax goes with us to find Reese or something. Saint and Osiris decide to go with us because there's no way Saint and Osiris are going to stay if we leave. They go with us. Crow goes with us as like the new speaker or something. Ikora stays behind. Eris would go. Well, of course, because Eris and Drifter are fucking in the hall. Like, just straight up. They've got to take in Centurion flying the thing, and they're just they're back in Drifter's musty ass bunk. We've seen that place. It's gross.
And Tess Everest has the biggest room on the helm now, and then we just leave.
No, it's Fenchurch. We finally get Fenchurch.
Oh, don't tease me.
I'm gonna be honest. I swear to God, the thing that would make the final shape instantly the best thing I feel for like Yumi and Phil would be Fenchurch just showing up like in like our final stand. Fenchurch drops off supplies. How great would that be? Like you get like a special exotic from Fenchurch as you go into the final battle. He just has like a little trading post set up outside of like the Witness's spire. Because don't forget Fenchurch in the lore, and I will find this piece before we get to the final shape. I want to read it in the weeks leading up to the final shape. Fenchurch claims to have seen the inside of the Traveler before, and the inside of the Pale Heart. He claims to have ventured into it.
Didn't he say it smells like lavender or something to that effect?
I believe so. I will find the lore piece, but he claims to have been in the Traveler, and we all laughed it off, and now it's like, oh. I would love nothing more than for Fenchurch to give us the Traveler trace rifle that we're gonna get. The Traveler beam. That would be my ultimate twist, is we get that weapon before walking into the final battle with the Witness, and like we beat it with the Traveler's energy, which I feel like is the most obviously telegraphed thing of all time. Like, hey, here's a Traveler heavy trace rifle. It shoots the Traveler beam. You're not going to get this as part of a story mission? No! It's going to be like the most underwhelming weapon of all time that serves one story purpose. It's going to be the new Salvation's Grip, because they risk making it too powerful. You could like canonically come up with a reason for it too, like, oh, it's ultra powerful against the Witness, and then it's useless in like every other encounter. It's only effective against
this, Josh. Don't curse us with this.
It's only effective against him, tormentors, and subjugators. How funny, or like the disciples. Like, say it's like great against all three of them and like their minions, but it's like useless against everyone else because like the Traveler just doesn't deem anybody else a threat. Listen, let me dream here. We're pie in the sky, okay? Corey writes in, hey, Tower Casuals crew. I was wondering what the current best Earl sandwich is. Asking Josh specifically. Fuck you, Corey. You're at my favorite sandwich joint. This is the third time you've sent me pictures. I'm mad about it. They took away my favorite sandwich anyway, so it doesn't matter. We answered Dealer's first question. Dealer's other question is, what one raid encounter could you do over and over again and not get bored within 2 runs? I think I got a couple of these. I really love, despite the intricacies of it, I love the Rolk fight.
Yeah.
The Rolk fight is so good. It's so good. Especially if you're with a crew who knows how to do it. That's a great one. I don't mind the Templar fight in Vogue. I like that one. There's a reason why it was the easiest one to farm.
Yeah. You're gonna hate my answer, Josh.
What's your answer?
The pre DPS phase in Crown of Sorrow, the first phase before you move into proper DPS against Galran. I love that relay race separated from each other engine you needed to build.
I didn't mind it.
If you had people who know, if you're with a crew that knows what you're doing, it is so satisfying.
I'll put it this way: before they vaulted it, you and I got so efficient with it that we got partnered up once instead of getting partnered with others, because certain people want to play with certain others, and I'm not going to name names here, but it was so efficient that when I did it with you, we were emoting in our box because we had killed everything, and we're watching everyone else die and struggle, and we're just like doing the callous chair emotes over there because there's nothing we can do about it. It was great. It was really funny. Same thing happened when I did it with Nerd. Me and Nerd just sat there, and hey, you and I were rewarded by getting Terabuzz, so
Yep. No, that's what I loved about that fight in particular is yes, it was really complicated to teach new
Yes.
people, but if you were with a whole team that knew what they were doing, God, you were just like an engine. You just churned through that thing
I
and
will
looked all
also
ran
say
fast.
the Atrax fight in Deepstone is
Yeah.
genuinely one of the more creative raid encounters we've gotten. I really like that one. I'm a big fan of that one. I honestly Oryx. The Oryx
Yeah.
boss fight is fantastic. I like the Oryx boss fight a lot. I like that, that was the first time that we were ever like torn, that we ever like went into the Ascendant Plane. And I mean, obviously it wasn't called that at the time, but that was the first time we ever really went in there. That was cool. I'll always be a sucker for Crota. OG Crota specifically. Standing on the window shooting Galahorns at him will always be a treasured memory.
Scourge of the Past boss fight is pretty damn fun.
That one, so that one's a little aggravating. And I'm not saying that just as like the navigator, because that was
Yeah.
always my job, but it was like you had to have people who knew what they were doing and like not just like good on ad clear, but like they had good shit and could listen to callouts. That was like the ultimate call out raid too.
Oh
That's
yeah.
how you knew if like you were a good leader or not, was that raid. So I think it tricked some of us into thinking that certain people were good raid leaders and were not. The Sparrow Race is the thing that I love all of Scourge of the Past, really.
It being during the day in the city too, at least once you get to the boss fight was I don't know. It definitely
indicates that you fought all night.
Yeah.
I love that it starts out in the city because it was really the first time we'd ever explored the city. I like that. I like that whole like jumping around on the buildings and stuff. That's a fun one to do.
Come on, you're summoning tanks against a giant mech. It's just
yeah. I like the boss fight. I like the Sparrow Race. It's a fun raid. That's a fun raid, and it was one you could do in like 45 minutes. It was great. The fact that the Sparrow Race could take you longer than anything else was hilarious too. Hail Hydra writes in, if my clan has been decently less active lately, how can I reinvigorate them as a clan leader that needs my gamer friends? Buddy, I really hate to say this to you. You're probably kind of boned until the final shape is on Final Approach. You're probably not getting people to get reinterested in Destiny. Maybe this March update does some stuff. Maybe, the loot pools, but I have a feeling that most people are going to be like, why wouldn't I just wait for Into the Light at that point? I think like probably first week of April. That first Iron Banner is probably when you're going to start getting people back in and you can probably sell them on it. Bungie marketing is the best way to get people involved in Destiny again. Just saying. It works every year like a charm. Nox asks us, and John, unless you have any suggestions there.
No, that's just kind of you don't want to be the guy trying to arm wrestle your friends into playing Destiny if they're not.
John is speaking from experience, by the way.
Yeah, because I'm normally that guy. But we're 10 years in, 8-month long season or whatever it is. It's okay.
We've had several friends fall off who just don't play anymore. Yeah. And that's fine. Like they've gotten involved in other games. Like Forrest used to play with us a lot. He plays an awful lot of Apex now, and he's gotten back into Halo and Finals and things like that. Like that's cool. Like you drift where like your core guys are. And like I feel like our group especially, like not necessarily splintered, but like you and Joe and Max got like really involved in Baldur's Gate. I went off and played a ton of single player stuff and like got really back into Fortnite. I've played a lot of Call of Duty. Frankly, I've actually really enjoyed Call of Duty this year. Words I never thought I would utter. But like that's the thing is like Destiny, just like I've been doing the same thing for 4 or 5 years. I was so happy to take a break. It's just unfortunately I remembered all the single player games I hadn't played yet. So I would say even like maybe if your clan's drifting away, like find another multiplayer game to play while y'all are waiting. Like, don't not play with your friends just because they're not playing Destiny. Like if you want to play it, that's totally one thing. But like play games with your friends too. Like it's cool to take a break. Helldivers just came out today. I'm gonna be picking Helldivers up this week. It's $40. I'm pretty excited. It's on PC and PS5. $40, and with free content updates, I'm there for it. Nox writes in, would you rather fight one wyvern-sized screeb or 10 screeb-sized wyverns?
Definitely 10 screeb-sized wyverns.
Oh, I would rather have the wyvern-sized screeb, personally. I think that would be just hilarious. I don't want 10 screebs dive bombing me. No. I'm good. I'm good on that one. And then our final question of the night comes to us from Joe Aces. We already answered one of Joe's questions,
Oh,
but
son of a bitch! Who let him in here?
Joe asks, realistically, what is one thing Bungie can do with Destiny to regain the trust of the players? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think they just got to deliver. You know, it's
the best thing they can do now is just heads down, deliver not only in the final shape, but episodes have to deliver too.
yeah.
If this and Echoes are good, then I think that sets a good precedent because they haven't really done a lot with the Vex, so the door is completely open for them to do whatever they want to do there. I have to assume that's going to set up the next expansion too. Like we all pretty widely think that the next story arc has to be one of two things. It has to be the origins of the Vex, or it has to be helping the Elixni reclaim their home. Those are the only two things I can think of that we would go to next. If it's another Hive expansion, so help me God. But I think there's a lot you can do there. It's just delivering. Dealer commented and said, "They gain my trust if they fix PvP." I really hate this. PvP is not a priority right now for this team. It probably will become a bigger one after, and it's a shame because they just brought out that strike force, right?
Yeah.
And they have been delivering on that. We know the map pack is coming. We know some balance updates are coming. Obviously, they're refreshing the loot pools. I don't think any large scale fixes to PvP are coming until after the final shape. But even then, this game has just ballooned so much from what it was. And I see people still being like, oh, Destiny 1 PvP was peak. And like, it really wasn't. I infinitely prefer it here, but it's gone through so many changes. And like, this is a game that we've always talked about is so hard to balance the perks between PvP and PvE because, yes, you can balance them separately, but that is so much time and effort. That is hard. That's genuinely hard to do. And on top of that, I think a lot of your passionate PvP designers all went to Marathon. So you have to backfill that. Now, I will say, Tyson being the new game director does bode very well.
Guy, so
he's if anybody can fix it, it's one of the main PvP minds behind the Halo trilogy. Him and Max Hoberman were kind of the guys. Max Hoberman, you guys have heard me say that name before. He runs Certain Affinity now, and he has actually stepped in to take over Halo Infinite's multiplayer going forward. So, man, I would love to see Destiny have PvP that's on level with old school Halo. This is a dude who was in charge of, or one of the minds in charge of multiplayer and like level designing and stuff from Halo 1 all the way through Reach. Like we talked about earlier, Forge, Firefight, that was him. He's one of the guys who's helped design a lot of the exotic weapons in Destiny. Like, if anyone can really emphasize that we need to get back to PvP and give PvP some love, it's him. Because I think the PvE teams are pretty well staffed and you've got the story on the right direction. You just got to deliver. You got to execute. That's the biggest thing here. You got to execute. So, and then Joe's other question, we already in a roundabout way addressed this. With the ending of this season, how do you think it segues into us getting into the Travelocy? It's Crow and Osiris and the Veil. That sounds like a band name, but sounds like a '60s like hippie band. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Like it's just it's. I don't know. I'm having zero expectation. I expect this to be just like a lame cutscene and some throwaway dialogue in the final shape. Because it's so clear the final shape is like a celebration of like our 10-year journey as the Guardian. And like Ghost narrating it and like the fact that we know that the Pale Heart is going to change based on the experiences that we've had as the Guardian. I don't know. I'm just like I'm kind of done trying to speculate on what's going to happen. We'll have a better idea in probably about 6 weeks of what we're looking at. But it's even one of those like if I didn't have this show, I probably wouldn't watch anything on the final shape at this point because I just kind of want to go in and be surprised. Yeah, I want to go in. I want to be surprised. It's the best birthday gift I could ask for. Is getting to kind of make this my send off in a lot of ways. 10 years of playing the same game, that's a long time. That's like WoW level addiction. So, I don't know. We'll see. Going back to like the perfect crossovers, though, I actually do have one for you. I think a Blizzard crossover would have been really cool in another life. I think you could have done it better than Overwatch did it first off. But, and better than Call of Duty did. But I think that, either whether you do it with Overwatch skins or StarCraft or Diablo or even even WoW, like you could have like Warlocks could have been the Lich King, hunters could have been, I don't know, like Diablo or Inarius or somebody. And Titans could have been, Jim Raynor from StarCraft or Winston from Overwatch. Who knows?
You need the gorilla skin.
The gorilla skin. But with that, we're gonna get out of here. This has been a lot longer than I told John it was gonna be. So, John, I apologize for keeping you for so long. This always happens. We spent 45 minutes griping.
There you go, Bruce. A1 Johnny complaining about Destiny. You got
A1 Johnny complaining about Destiny. I do want to shout out one thing before we get out of here. We do have in the Discord, we have a dungeon crawl coming up in a few days. That is, let me get this all pulled up because holy shit, I don't have my tabs open. I hate Discord sometimes. That dungeon crawl is... God damn it, where's the... Saturday, February 17th, we're doing a dungeon crawl. It's going to take place that day. It's going to take place all weekend. The fastest team of 3 will win a custom title in the server, as chosen by Nerd and myself, and a $10 gift card each to the gaming service of their choice. You will also be involved in a special segment of the podcast, which we will bring you guys on to talk about it. Other teams who simply compete at the event will get a special shout out on an episode of the pod. We have several teams that are forming. Of course, got to shout out a few of these guys. Joasis, Fox, and this fucking A1 Johnny guy are all joining up. We got Ronnie, we've got Aaron, we've got Saint, we've got Nadiki, we've got Nox, we've got Dealer and Oak on a team. I'm not shouting out y'all's thirds because they're not showing up on my screen. It's just a bunch of numbers. I know they're like real, but like Discord's been really funky lately. And then we got Juke and we got Hydra who are interested as well. So this is gonna be a fun time. I'm really, really curious to see how this pans out. We've wanted to do this for a long time. There we go. Nox is gonna be joining Nadiki, and Nox, Nadiki, and Red Panda are gonna be teaming up. And then Dealer, Weird Soup, and Oak. So I'm interested to see how this shakes out. Nerd and I have wanted to do this for a while, and then Nerd is doing he says he's doing it just for funsies team. We'll see if he still does that, but yeah, it should be a good time. Thank you everybody who signed up already. We got a better response than I thought we were going to on this one, but it is going to be every single dungeon.
Gonna be a blast.
Yep, and there are going to be there will be special dungeon loadouts that you have to use. We have a special form for the dungeon crawl that if you sign up, go take a look at it. Some of the stuff that we're looking for are going to be absolutely wild. Shattered Throne loadouts have to contain a sword. Pit of Heresy, everybody has to use Stasis. Prophecy, you have to use Darcy. Grasp of Avarice, all weapons must have Swashbuckler. Duality, 2 weapons have to be the same weapon type, so Pulse, Shoddy, etc. Spire of the Watcher, you must use Vex, Vexcalibur, Vex Mythoclast. Ghost of the Deep, Kingsfall or Crota's Raid, weapons only, including Touch of Malice and Necrochasm. And then, for the new dungeon, of course, user's choice, no restrictions. So it's going to be fun, it's going to be cool. There are other various rules. I encourage you to go check out those if you are interested, or if you've already signed up, please make sure you are reviewing those, because otherwise you're getting disqualified, and I really, really don't want to have to disqualify anybody. So, shout out to Nerd for organizing all of that for us as our community manager. John, thank you as always for your time. I appreciate you.
Always a blast chatting about Destiny for too long.
Yeah, we need to do this again. I'm sure that we'll get you in here before the final shape comes out. Of course, our goal is to have you and Joe come back here, talk with us a little bit more about weapons. Probably end up talking about the dungeon crawl at some point, and maybe discuss if Into the Light is better than Wishes or not, because Wishes suck. But from me, from Corey, from John, we'll even throw out a shout out to old Nerd. From Nerd, thank you for listening to Tower Casuals, and we will see you Starside.